As a teacher, the strangest thing I have ever encountered was at my previous school, which was in Mexican Town in Detroit. I had to help another teacher break up a fight between a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And she won, so good for her.
Two stories. One involved a fight at another school. The fight took about 35 minutes to break up. It involved me, probably 12 teachers, and 2 security guards to break this fight up. Also, some police officers had to be called in. The second story involves a kid getting stuck in the toilet. Enough said. He sat down and got stuck.
All right. So I have a thing with squirrels. All my life, I've been chased by them. They've snuck into my house in college, and so it wouldn't be fitting any other way that one day I'm teaching, and all of a sudden, we hear a little scratch on the screen, and a squirrel comes bolting in the classroom. So as I'm teaching, the squirrel's running back and forth, and we're running the heck out of the room. That's probably the craziest thing I've seen in my classroom.
About 10 years ago, I was teaching with an overhead projector, and I had an overhead projector marker in my hand, and I was writing the notes on the overhead projector so that the students could see what I was writing. And I thought I had capped the marker, and I was just sitting there kind of talking, and while I was talking, I had an itch right here. So I thought I'll just itch it with my marker like this. And I didn't realize that the cap was indeed off, and while I was lecturing, I was just coloring the whole side of my face blue. And this girl right in front of me is sitting there, and there's this huge smile on her face, and she looks like she's about to laugh, and everyone's starting to giggle a little bit. And suddenly I could sense the wetness of the marker on my skin as I was kind of scratching my temple right here. And I realized, and I looked at her, and I said, "Am I writing blue marker on my face right now?" And she said, "Uh-huh." And it was pretty hilarious, because I had blue marker all over the entire side of my face.
Crazy experience with a student. I used to teach at 0 hours, so kids would come in about 6 in the morning, and this kid came in, and the rule was they couldn't have any coffee. So what they did is he comes in, he grabs his coffee, and he's drinking it, and I come up to him and say, "Hey, I gotta take that coffee," and he's like, "You're not taking my coffee." So I take and grab the coffee from him, and as I grab it from him, he squeezes it. The coffee goes all over me, and I don't know what happened, but he just had a breakdown. He took off, and he went running outside, and he jumped like 10 times, and he punched the speed limit sign and caved it in, and then he took off running towards the water, and we never saw him again. I called down to the assistant principal, and I said, "Hey, we just had this kid that, explained the story to him." And I just told him, I said, "No, he never came back." So saw him a couple days later, and he acted like nothing happened. It was the weirdest thing that ever happened.
The craziest thing that ever happened to me while I was teaching was that in my old school, my little town that I used to teach in, the police chief was actually shot just down the street from where I worked, and the guy ran away from the house where he shot the police chief. He's okay, by the way. Years later, he's doing all right. But we ended up going into a lockdown, and I was stuck with a bunch of freshmen who I did not know, because I was subbing for somebody in a library where I could not lock any of the doors, and I had to huddle behind bookshelves because we didn't know if he had come into the schools or not. This was before we had lockdown procedures and stuff like that. So it was pretty scary, to be honest, crazy and scary. Everything worked out, and they ended up getting the guy, and I think he's in jail now. The police chief recovered, but if you ever complain about lockdowns, that's why we do them, because something crazy can happen, and I learned firsthand how scary it is not to be able to lock a door and be in charge of a class of 30 students. So thankfully everything was okay, but you never know.